The fear that the regime wanted to create has failed. In fact, it has fueled the anger. The Iranian protesters want the Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic, to go down. In words of protesters, this movement, sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini at the hands of the morality police, has now become a revolution. It's about being able to live with freedom and control over their own lives. It appears that the regime is afraid of the protesters and that they're trying everything possible to stop them. Now, to actually show that they still have power over civilians, over the protesters, and to scare people into giving up, they've started executing people after these reported sham trials. As of now, 4 protesters are known to have been executed. The first took place in December last year and was really a shock. Iran executed 23-year-old Mohsen Shakari, who was accused of Maharabe, which essentially means waging war against God. We found out later that he was not given access to legal support. Rights groups have reported that Shakari was tortured and forced to confess. Activists from Iran say that the regime has been making up cases against these protesters, some of whom actually were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that they have not seen any solid proof. Trials last anywhere between 5 minutes to 15 minutes and behind closed doors. Human rights groups claim there is absolutely no legal process and are calling these trials sham trials. On December 12th, less than a week after the first execution, they executed a 23-year-old protester, Majid Reza Rahnavad, and they circulated a video online. It shows Majid Reza hanging from a crane in public. It was an attempt to scare people. These stories, when they came out, they had the exact opposite impact on people because they're not scared, they're angry, especially after the executions of Mohammad Mehdi Karami and Syed Mohammad Hosseini on 7th of January.
Amnesty International said that the court that convicted Karami relied on forced confessions. And Hosseini's lawyer said in a tweet in December that Hosseini had been severely tortured.
The regime accused these men of killing a Basiji, which is a member of the paramilitary security force. The videos of him lying dead went viral, and these men, they were sentenced to death. There is this extremely powerful video of Karami's father at Syed Mohammad Hosseini's grave. I spoke to someone close to Mehdi Karami's family who said that Karami's father went to Syed's grave to show his solidarity, even though they had never met. He wanted to make sure that neither of them had died in vain. The executions, they sent a shockwave among protesters. However, it hasn't affected the protests the way the regime expected it to. And we spoke to a very close friend of one of the protesters who's on death row right now. He's still in the prison. And he said what they've done, the regime, with the executions, is that they've created this fire under the ashes. People continue to protest and they continue to get arrested. The reason there are not as many on the streets is because over 19,500 people have been arrested during the protests. But there are still young people standing in the middle of highways, putting up banners which could put them in prison right away. And they're still doing it. They're doing everything possible to tell the world that please continue listening to us because the Iranian revolution is not done. We're still fighting for freedom. So they haven't stopped protesting. It hasn't had the effect that the regime wanted.